Hello and welcome to Sestra-Tainment. I'm Lenora,
And I'm D.
and we're coming to you today in regards to everything
Everything.
entertainment. Sorry,
And that
I
was
had to cut off the
entertainment.
music. I'm doing too much. So, hi everyone. So today I'm starting, and so I have the first topic of the day, and I have off of Netflix, Shipwrecked. So, Shipwrecked, a
Mm.
nightmare at sea. Did you see that?
I started to watch it and I couldn't stay watching it.
Oh, okay. Got it. Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is about the shipwreck that happened 20, I can't believe it was this long ago, but it was 2012. And I'm like, how in the world was it that long?
Yeah.
It feels like maybe it was 6 years ago. It doesn't feel like it was 14 years ago that this
Yeah.
happened. But this is the shipwreck that everybody knows about that happened off the coast of Italy. And it was the Consta Concordia as being the ship. And you had it where the captain decided, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and, well, I'll put it this way. The way that they described it during the documentary, because this is a documentary, so I'll kind of explain how they referenced it. But basically, he was asked if he could go closer to the shoreline so that that way they could do the salute closer to the shoreline. So that was what someone who was a staff member of the ship requested. Now, I only heard that he was the one who wanted to do this, right? That I never heard that it was anything about anybody on the ship. But as they were talking and doing the documentary, and people who were literally in the, gosh, I don't even know where that area is, the captain's area of being able to see everything, where all the officers are and guiding and directing the ship, but in that front helm of the ship, there was a person who was speaking to that and was saying that basically that is what had happened. And it's an interesting story. So I actually kind of learned a lot because it felt like while watching it that maybe there was some misinformation. Because again, number one, you thought that the captain requested that, but it was somebody else on there. And so, but he was Captain Francisco Schettino, I think is how you say it, Schettino. And so basically, it starts off with people who were on the ship and their stories. So you have this American couple that was like, hey, we should do a vacation. We just had a baby, and this is going to be our first major vacation. So let's go ahead and get on this amazing cruise through, Italy and different places to see over in a European tour. And then you had another girl who was about 15 at the time, her mom, her mom's best friend, and her boyfriend, them all being on the cruise ship and being able to enjoy it. They were Italian, so just, being like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and hop on this ship. You had a couple that was a boyfriend and girlfriend at the time, and his goal was on the ship that day he was going to propose, like at some point on the ship. He was like, what better than to be in Italy? And they were American. And he's like, just to be able to be there. And at some point during the trip, my plan was to propose at the perfect scenic spot. He didn't know where it was going to be, but that was his plan. And and then they had a gentleman who was a part of the ship. I think his name was Mauricio or something like that. And he actually was one of the folks who was in the helm, was hearing everything, was knowing exactly kind of what was going on. And so the story just, it evolves with different people giving their insights of getting on the ship and, just seeing everything. And on a few occasions, which is crazy, like the young girl and her boyfriend, who was a teenager at the time, she was like, oh yeah, I was standing at one part of the ship and we were looking out, and it was right as we were getting ready to do the nighttime dinner the first night. And her boyfriend grabbed her around the waist and she was in front. And he was like, this feels like we're on the Titanic. And she said, now thinking back on it, she's like, oh, gosh, like we basically were. And then you had another person who she said for some reason, the couple that could get engaged on that trip, She said when she went out, he did the best room he could afford because he was like, I was paying for the ring and doing this. And then he's like the best room he could afford. So he had a balcony and all of that. And so, because he said it's a European cruise, it wasn't cheap. And so she's on the balcony. And for some reason, she said, I took a picture of all of the lifeboats sitting right there, like just, like, oh, we're the deck above all the lifeboats. And so it's certain things like that that is just eerie when you think about what actually happened, right? And so what goes on is that it's dinner time. It's the dinner service about 8 something in the evening. And all of a sudden, 8 to 9, I guess. And you have where the request was made and he was like, okay, we'll go ahead and get a little closer, right? And the guy who was in the captain's quarters with them, I'm trying to think of what his name was. Let's say it is Mauricio. But he was like, I don't know why he would go off protocol. Why would he go veer off just because somebody requested this? Now, he was a newer captain on the ship. And another person that they told the story of was a female dancer on the ship. She was like, I was living my best life. I was fit. I was young. I was doing what I loved of the dancing. And so therefore, I was living my best life. So she tells a little of her story too. But they go ahead and he's like, I don't know why he would do this, but okay, whatever. So he's talking to the guy at the helm, the captain, and is saying like, go 13 knots this way, go that way. And so supposedly the captain was navigating the ship in such a way that it would make it easy for people to get around and get through. Well, there is a story that comes out of this that, let's just say, the way that they explain, I'm trying not to give a lot of spoilers in case people want to see it, because you would think you know the whole story, but you really don't. But towards the end, what they say is there was a miscommunication between the captain and the guy at the helm who was directing. And for 13 seconds, something was done differently than what was supposed to have been done. And because of that, this is what ended up happening. So there's a news reporter, she's in there and she's basically saying like, look, I'm pulling up to this boat the next morning because all this happened at night too. I don't know if I recognized it all happened late at night. I don't know why I was thinking it was daytime and they could tell it was a little close or not close, but it all happened at night because I'm like, why would you do a salute if nobody can see you? It's nighttime. Who's going to know you're doing a salute? So anyway, they showed all the dramatics, right? They showed all the dramatics because that newscaster, like I said, when she got on a boat to just see the part of the boat that got hit, she said, all I could see was this huge boulder still stuck in the boat. Like, because the boat had already tipped by that point, right? So she just saw this huge boulder and they showed it in the documentary. And I'm like, wow, like that's crazy. The other thing is like, everybody had a story to tell in regards to what they were doing, where they were. You had everything from a couple who was helping other people to get on the life rafts, right? To get on the lifeboats. But guess what? It was almost 2 hours after the impact before people got on lifeboats because they did not, the captain didn't give the order. The captain didn't tell people whether he was at fault for this or not. There were still things he was at fault for because he didn't say, abandon ship. He never once said abandon ship. He was wanting to call it something else. Then when they were radioed into a different area, unfortunately, part of the emergency response was what was impacted by the boulder and the water and all of that. So the emergency signals and things that could go out were all disrupted. So then they had to manually call somewhere. So then they manually called, but then when they manually called and the people called back, they were like, so what's going on? It sounds like y'all are in duress. And he was like, well, we have a situation that's happening. And they were like, okay, so he said, we have a power outage. That's all he said. And then they're like, oh, well, do you need assistance? Do you need somebody to come out there and support you? And he was like a tugboat to like pull us out. And he was like, okay, yeah, exactly. And so it's like, what are you talking about? Like it was almost like he knew he had done wrong. He knew he had ruined this multi-million-dollar ship. because he went off course. And he made that decision as the captain to go off course. And he was hoping that it could get rectified before anybody, could kind of put anything together that this is what he had done. Then it's like later the people call and you can hear them talking to him and like, so wait, you were shipwrecked? Like you hit something? You do need to, lifeboats are going out? Like, why didn't you say that earlier? Like, why didn't you? And you can hear the captain, yes, we hit something. Yes. Like you could hear the frustration in his voice because he had to admit he made an error. Like that was, I was so frustrated of listening to him try to correct everybody. Oh, are we abandoning ship? No, we are sending our passengers to shore. That's what we're doing. We're not abandoning ship. And it was like, oh, go ahead.
Question.
Yeah.
If you're sending passengers to shore and you're not at a dock and you're using lifeboats, is that not abandoning ship? Okay. That was all. Just making sure. Okay. All right. Continue.
100%. But he didn't want to use that terminology. But there was like, so there was a couple that was helping people to get on the boat, like, and other people were thanking them. The woman, she had never even been on a cruise before. This was her first cruise, the girl who could have gotten engaged on that trip. And she's just recording everything that's happening. And then they finally get on a lifeboat. And then you just have people, I'm like getting chills with like talking about it because it was so sad. And so like, they were just saying, my name is this, and I'm from this area. My name is this, and I'm from this. Like they wanted to be on record with their voice and their name saying, I'm on this boat with you all, just in case we don't make it. Because I want somebody to capture the fact that I did at least get on the boat and my body's not going to be on the ship. Like that's how sad it was. You had a parent and a husband and wife who had a baby who was 1 year old. Remember I said there was that couple who's like, we just had a baby, let's do this. They ended up being on the side of the ship that started to go up, to rise up. So they're getting on the lifeboat on the side of the ship that is up in the air. Well, they're on the boat. And then what ends up happening when they tried to lower it, it just kept hitting against the side of the boat because it couldn't go down in the right angle. So it was just, and knocking people off into the water. So then they were like, oh my gosh, stop that. And then they had to climb off of the boat, create a human chain to get people back onto the boat. So now they thought they were safe getting off the boat because they were on a lifeboat, but the lifeboat can't be lowered. So now they had to get back on the boat. And guess what? Now to get to the side where the boats are closer to the water, it's at this angle. Like it's at a huge angle to the point that they had to just slide. Like they had to like hold on to something while they were walking to the part to get to the other side. And then when they saw a free way to get all the way to the other side, they just had to slide down at like 20, 30 miles per hour to get to the other side. The husband had the baby hit their head on the way down. Like it was craziness. The lady who's a dancer, same thing. They were trying to take passengers before it got to a huge elevation, and they would fling the passenger because you couldn't climb up that high. Like you couldn't get there by climbing. So you had to have somebody push you to, like 5 of them were like pushing a person so that way they could get to something to grab a rail and then use the rail to get all the way to the, thinking that the high side was going to work, but the high side didn't end up working. It was just mass chaos. The boats that the woman took the picture of that were like a floor below her, and maybe they were on the 6th or 7th floor. The boats were on the 4th floor. I remember them saying that. She ended up saying that the boats were so low now that you basically could just release it and it would be in the water. And their balcony that was up super high when they first got on the boat was now almost at water level. Like that's the kind of, drama that they were dealing with. But it was such an interesting story to hear the young girl whose mom and girlfriend, her mom's friend and her boyfriend, they're all standing in line, but her mom was like, my feet are killing me. I have these heels on from dinner. I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to go to the room. I'm going to get my I'm going to get my shoes. I'm going to get something for her. And then we'll be back and then we'll get on another boat. So she calls her mom. Her mom's like, okay, we're waiting to get on another boat. We'll see you on shore. and the girl gets to shore, but now she's looking for her mom. And so it was just mass chaos. And then, well, two quick things. The woman, there's three things actually. The woman who is the dancer, she has her story of getting off, which was totally different than everybody else's. You have the guy who was in the helm of the ship with the captain. I was telling you about him, and he was like a ranking officer on the ship. And so he ends up, he said the boat was so tipped that you didn't walk on the hallway anymore. You walked on the walls. So you walked on the walls of the interior rooms to go. Well, he walked on one of the doors that was open, and he slipped into that room and broke his leg. So as he's walking on halls and doors, well, the door somehow was a little, I don't know how it was ajar. It just wasn't closed all the way, but it was not open. And so when he stepped on it, it opened and it pushed him all the way down. So he's like, now I'm definitely going down with this ship, because who's going to know I'm here and I can't climb my way back out? And I have a broken leg. So then he has a miraculous way that he ended up getting out. And he said that the door was actually near the restaurant. So he was in the restaurant part. And then you have where the captain, in all his audacity, has the nerve to get on one of the lifeboats and to leave the ship, where the next ranking person was like, why are you out there? Get back on this ship. And he was like, he didn't do it. And they were like, you can't abandon ship. You are the captain. You go down with the ship. We're here going down with the ship. You need to be here. And he did not come back. And the guy was like, it's an order. Now that you have left the ship, I am the captain of the ship. Come back. He didn't. And so there was so much drama, so much that was going on. I thought it wasn't necessarily the most well done documentary, in my opinion. It left a couple of loose ends, like some gaps, because I don't know. It's one or two people that I was like, but what happened? What happened to the person? What happened? You know. But for the most part, I just found it fascinating. Like, it had my full attention. When I had to get up and let my dog out, I paused it. It wasn't one of those that I would just say, oh yeah, let it keep running. So anyway, but that is it. It is a terrible, terrible story. It ended up being that 32 people passed away from that. And it caused a 174-foot gash in the actual hull of the boat. And so it was blackouts, then the lights came on, then like I said, the emergency response was not working, the engine room was flooded, and it was other stories too about people who were like, all the money that I would send back to my family was in my room. I wanted to go back to my room to get the money to send to my family. And they wouldn't let me, security wouldn't let me, because they were like, it's flooded. Like, your life is more important than trying to go back and get whatever is in that room. So just stay where you are. So yeah, it's a story. That's all I have to say. So if you get a moment, you can watch it. It's again on Netflix. The Costa Concordia is the name of the ship. And the name of the documentary is Shipwrecked. Hold on, let me make sure I remember what it is. It is a Shipwrecked Nightmare at Sea. Right, sis. You look like you wanted to say something. So
yes, because that is just like the Titanic. That's what happened on Titanic. Remember, no, not the captain, but somebody who was up on the guy who was like, the ship is invincible or whatever.
Yeah, he's the one that told them to keep driving. Go faster. You can break a record, whatever. And then he's one of the first ones on the lifeboat.
Yeah. Okay, first of all, if I would have been on the boat with the captain, he would have went out the other side.
Okay, the long way. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like the cruise ship's here, ocean, captain, ocean. That's the would have happened. I'm sorry. No, because how are you going, like, you put everybody's, like, no matter what, he was the person in charge. This is your ship. You make the rules. The rules that you made that day cost 32 people their lives.
Right. Exactly.
But I did read that he got 16 years for manslaughter.
16 years. Yeah. And even some of the other people who were in the helm were put on trial. They were found guilty, but they didn't have to serve any time. One of them was the guy who broke his leg at the restaurant. So he's like, I'm out here trying to get people to go to the front of the ship or to go to the floor so that they can get off the ship. But he also was one of the people who was on trial. And he's like, I'm in there with a broken leg in the restaurant trying to just save my own life. So I could see why he didn't end up, like, he was hearing what was going on, but he also said, you don't understand cruise culture and ship culture, which is the captain's word goes. So even if you don't agree with it, you don't challenge the captain. It's like the military, right? You're not going to challenge it. You're going to go ahead and do whatever he informs you to do. So that was part of, I guess, his, story, is that I just did what he told me to do. And then I realized I need to save people, because they were even directing people to go back to their rooms. They were like, everything's fine. Go back to your room. Like, the lights are going out and craziness is happening. But they were like, everything's fine. It's just a blackout situation. Go back to your room. And for those people who did, they probably are some of the ones who didn't make it. And then you had where, one of the people said, it puts you in that position of, you never know what you're going to do until you're in one of those situations. Yeah. And she said, so we were helping people get on the boat. We were helping parents who were just handing us their kids and say, look, even if I don't get on there, get my kid on the boat. Like, something to that effect. And then you ended up having where, you don't know, are you going to be that person who is going to say, I don't care that they're not letting down these boats. We're going to hop on these boats and we're going to get ourselves down if we have to. Like, we got to take control, because we know something more tragic is going on and they're not saying anything. We are leaning, like, we know something bad is happening and has happened, but nobody is giving any direct orders. So they stood there for 45 minutes before they even heard the blares to say something had happened. Then they had to stand there even longer before the people could say, they were stopping them and saying, no, you can't get on here. You can't let these down. You can't do that. That's not right. And then boats only held, like, I think 150 people each. So then they said you had to count the 150 to make sure you didn't do 125. And now you didn't save another 25 people, because you were supposed to do that. And you shouldn't do more than 150, because then is it going to be able to go down? Are you going to have to ask some people to get off because it's too heavy? You had to stop people who were trying to rush their way on there and bum rush because they're just trying to save their lives. Like, it was chaos. It was chaos.
Because they could have made an announcement like, everybody go to a mustard station. At least everybody would then be at their mustard station. So, and then that way boom, it's good to go. But yeah. Did they get all of the lifeboats out? Or did some of them end up being underneath No,
the ones that were on the side, from what I saw, the ones that were on the side that was getting lower and lower and lower, all of those were able to get out. And actually, some of those even came back to try to come get more people, because the people who made it to shore, they ended up, some of them went to a church, some of them just stayed on the shore yelling out the name of their family member and their loved one just to see if anybody would respond. And then the boats went back, but they could see people who were still on the boat up kind of high, like waving and trying to get somebody's attention so that they could get off the boat. So the ones on the high side, however, because they were up so high, and then the boat, when you tried to lower it, it just kept hitting against the side of the boat and tilting and tilting and tilting, like seesaw, it wouldn't lower smoothly. So they had to just abandon those and couldn't even use those to get people off.
See, this is what I'm saying. Okay, the captain should, since he got on the ship, the lifeboat, he should have been sentenced to 16 years in the worst prison in the world. Whatever prison that may be.
16 years for every person that.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
It's very sad to just know that, and some of them were workers and some of them were people who were passengers, but it was people from France, from America, from Germany. Like, it was just people who were from all these different parts of the world who happened to be on that ship and then didn't make it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Well, but all right, sis, you're up next. So maybe you
talk about mine, because I see a storm is coming.
Yeah. So if our power goes out and this podcast ends early, you will know why. So, but on that note, what do you have, sis?
Okay, so what I have is a movie that I watched on Hulu. Me and Kayla watched it on Hulu. It is called Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die.
Wow, that progresses aggressively, but okay.
Yes. So about this, it's a sci-fi movie. It's like a comedy sci-fi movie. The only reason that I say it's a comedy is because there are a lot of comedic things that happen in it. Like there's a cat centaur in it. I don't know why, but that's what it is. So I'm gonna go over the cast really quick. You have Sam Rockwell, which everybody knows Sam Rockwell, and his name is just Man from the Future. Doesn't actually have a name, just Man from the Future. You have Juno Temple. Everybody knows her from Ted Lasso. You have Haley Lou Richardson, who plays Ingrid. A lot of people know her from White Lotus. You also have Michael Pena, Zazie Beetz, Asim Chowdhury, and Georgia Goodman. Those are main casts. Oh, well, and this kid, Tom Taylor. He's kind of in there, but he's really not in there. But I'm going to get to it really quick because I think the storm's coming in fast. So in this, you have, it starts off like in a diner. So if anybody's ever seen the trailer, I was kind of like, I don't understand what's going on, but you kind of get the gist of it. So it starts off in a diner. Dude shows up, looks homeless, has like a plastic jacket on with all these wires and everything on him, and looks like a bomb is strapped to him, and he has like a little detonator thing. So he's like, hey, everybody, listen up. And nobody's paying attention because they're just like, oh, that's just like it's a crazy guy. And he's like, no, listen up. And then he starts grabbing people's phones and like chucking them in water and soup. He chucks it through the window, through the what is it called? The window that you give out the food at. I used to work this station and I can't think of the name of it. But anyway, chucks it through the window, hits a wall.
Drive through?
No. It's when they distribute out the food. But I can't, it's a certain name for it, but I can't think of it. But it goes through there, hits a wall, slides into like a big pot that's constantly boiling. So he's basically saying, hey guys, technology, it's about to ruin the world. You know, in 2060 or something like that, everything's going to be all kaput. Like, this is what y'all need to do, blah, 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 blah. And then like people are like starting to stand up and like come at him. And he's like, I got a bomb. So he shows he has a bomb. And then he's like, Scott, sit down. Like, we've been through this 17 times. Just sit down. You don't have to be a hero. And the dude's like, and he sits down. And then it's like another guy who's over there, and the guy keeps raising his hand. He's like, Gary, put your hand down. Gary, I keep telling you, I'm not going to answer your questions, Gary. Put your hand down. So it's like he knows everybody's name. He's like, Dolores, please hang up the phone. Don't call 911. I got to, let me get through this. I got to get some people together. So it's like, this is just going on, and everybody's looking around like, what? But there's a few people who are like, I don't think he's crazy because he know everybody's name. So I don't know what's happening with this. So basically he says this whole spiel about how technology is making humans stupid and it's about to be the end of humankind. So he's like, basically, yo, we got to do something. So in order to do something, I need some people to come with me. And like, he's like, no, it didn't work with you. Didn't work with you. Did I try you? I can't remember. Okay, it didn't work with you. And then now the police pop up. Now when the police pop up, then it's all of a sudden he's like, oh God, okay, that's it. We got to go. So he's, hey, you come. And then the one girl who is Ingrid, who is actually played by, what did I say her name was? Haley Lou Richardson. When she came up, he was just like, no, you're not coming with us because you creep me out. And she was like, she was dressed like a princess, and she had, she was like all dirty and like some blood on her shirt and on like her top of her dress and everything. He was like, nah, you sit down, you creep me out. So when he's looking at all these people in the row, he's like, okay, I've never had this combination. Maybe this is going to work. He was like, and he starts counting people. He was like, and then looks at the girl. He's like, okay, come on, princess, you can come. So then when she does come with them, then it turns into, I need to turn a light on. It's kind of dark in here. Wow. Ooh. Ooh. Maybe I need to turn the light off. I don't know how to do all this lighting stuff. Anyway, so then they all leave, and they're like, well, they don't leave. They're all like, okay, how do we get out of here? What do we need to do? What do we need to do with this? What do we need to do with that? And then one lady says, oh, we need to go in the back of the restaurant, where in the back of Norm's, because it's Norm's Diner. We need to go in the back, and there is a trap door to the cellar. So now they're going to the back and everything. And he's just like, how do you know about the trap door? So now he's like all on the lady. He was like, so who sent you? Like, are you one of them? Blah, blah, blah. She was like, no, like, I'll explain it to you later. Like, we got to go. So right when they're going, one of the guys that he picks is a scout leader. And as he's trying to like tell everybody, like, good, this is like, if we go out the front, we all die. If we go out the back, we all die. If we try to split up, we all die. He's like, we can just use somebody as like a scapegoat. And right when they're trying to say that, it was like, yeah, because such and such has a gun on him. And you see the dude pulling his shirt up, and he's like, I wasn't going to use it, man. Like, I just have it. Like he hands it to him, and he was just like, well, you're the scapegoat. Gives him the gun back. It's like, go check out the back door. And basically, they use him to get killed in order for them to try to escape. Now, as they're going through all of this, you get clips. You get clips of like 2 days before, or like the week before, anything. So you have one lady who is the lady who knows about the trap door inside of Norm's office that goes down to the cellar. And hers goes into something weird. So it's about school shootings. Her kid gets killed in a school shooting. There's some weird stuff that happens in this movie. I don't want to give it away, but I want to give it away, but I'm not going to. But just know that the government is funding school shooters. That's all I'm going to say. You'll find out all the information about that, but that's all I'm going to say. Like, me and Mikhail looked at it and we were like, did this really just happen? Like, is this actually happening in the world now? We just don't know about it. Like, it's so creepy. Then they have another time where it clips to the princess. The princess, she actually is dressed like a princess because she actually does birthday parties. With like little girls' birthday parties. So, you know, she comes and she's pretending to be a princess, telling kids to make a wish, blah, 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 blah. So now we get her backstory. Then we have these two teachers that are actually a couple. I think they're substitute teachers. One's a teacher, one's a substitute, and they're a couple. And something strange happens with the teacher and one of the students' phones. And then now, next thing you know, all the kids are trying to try to kill the teachers. Yeah, weird. Now this dude had made something that looked like the phaser gun from off of Mars Attacks in order to do something to like stop the kids, and it ends up working, and then it doesn't work anymore. Then it ends up working and it doesn't anymore. But they end up using that later on, which I think is awesome. But they're trying to figure out what reality is and what's not reality. Basically, the whole movie is about stopping AI. How to stop AI. So it shows how we as humans are destructive human beings. Human beings are destructive. So now we have created an AI. So now AI wants to be destructive. So now it creates itself to make destruction for human beings, because human beings are already destructive on their own, and that's what AI knows. So now AI is like, how do we make everything work for us so now human beings can be destructive to each other?
Got it.
It is a good movie. It had me up until Kitty Tar, when we got the cat Centaur. Then I was like, why is that even happening? Well, I don't understand. Like, everything seemed normal until that part, and I was like, wait, something's up, something's not right. I ended up finding out what the ending was, like maybe like 30 minutes before the movie ended. You should write movies. And I was like, I just watch a lot of them, so you tend to know what happens. I'm like saying exactly what the character is supposed to be saying at that time. It's like, It's all the same. It's just sometimes it might be worded differently, but it is really good. Like they have strange people chasing them in a warehouse. There's a crazy guy named Gary who has a sword that you can't wake up. He's a homeless man. He's on top of the roof of the building. If you wake him up, then he's going to pull out not a sword, a machete. So it's like, so you can't wake him up. So it's just so many things that are happening as they're just trying to get to this one house to this little boy. And yeah, I love it. I'm going to watch it again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I know there's something that I missed because there's so many things going on to it. I know there's something that I missed. So I'm going to have to rewatch it to see what else that I did miss. But yeah, that's all I had to talk about was that. Good luck. Have fun. Don't die. It's on Hulu. I was about to say YouTube. It's on Hulu.
It's on Hulu. All right. Excellent.
Okay. What do you have next?
I am nervous because I don't know if we're going to be able to continue to have the episode or not, but I'm going to try to go through my next one really fast. The last thing that I want to have happen is for the computer to shut down to the point that it's like, oh yeah, by the way, you didn't record anything.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
It's a lot of thunder and lightning.
Yeah, and there's a lot of lightning. Maybe we should cut this one short.
I think we might need to, just to make sure, number one, safety first. Number two, because our grandmother, for those of you who don't know, whenever there would be a storm, she would say, cut off every light, turn off all electronics, unplug the freezer, the refrigerator, every single thing, and be quiet. Let the Lord do his work. And so on that note, this might be the shortest version of the Actually, no, I think the one that I did solo might have been shorter, but just from a safety perspective, because lightning is definitely, the wind is howling, blowing, and to the point that my door is literally sounding like it wants to open and close. And I'm actually surprised that my dog Chico hasn't started barking yet because, but it's definitely, it's a weather advisory that we have going on. So on that note, and it was 105 degrees today, felt like 105 degrees. So that with a storm mixed into it, who knows? They might even be saying there could be tornadoes and we don't even know because we're on here. So
yeah, because I'm trying to look outside and like the things we're spending and now they're not spending.
Okay, so on that note, everybody, thank you for listening to us. Let me start playing the music. How about that? Thank you for listening and checking us out on Sestra-Tainment. Have a great rest of your day. Take care of yourself, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.